Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. I am Frank Granito and I am joined in the studio today on this Wednesday afternoon with Dave Stewart. Dave, thanks for coming in. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. We're still going along here. Some big games.
We're about a quarter way through the FCX season and we've got a lot of FCX action to cover today. But before we get to that, we have some exciting news here about an upcoming event on Nutmeg Sports. The American Platform Tennis Association's first Grand Prix tournament of 2016-2017 will kick off in Fairfield, Connecticut at the Patterson Club's Men's and Women Open on October 8th and 9th. The event will draw 64 men's doubles teams and 32 women's doubles teams from local, region, and across the country, similar to the Grand Slams of tennis and golf's majors. The APTA Grand Prix series of 5 high-level tournaments was introduced last year and give top and mid-level players the chance to compete for valuable national ranking points and qualify for the end-of-season Vikings President's Cup. Spectators are welcome at no charge. Live streaming will be available at www.platformtennis.org. Top competitors will include Norwalk's Mark Parsons, who's the director of rackets at the Sewanee Country Club in Bronxville, New York, 3-time men's national champion and 2016 men's national finalist, and his partner, Johan Durant of Wayland, Massachusetts, who was also a 3-time national champ and a finalist along with Parsons. Making his platform tennis debut is recently retired tennis professional Eric Butorak. He won 18 ATP World Tour doubles titles and reached a career-high doubles ranking of 17 in the world. Honored at this past U.S. Open for a successful 13-year career, the new resident of Cos Cob will take his talents to the platform tennis court. Dave, if we look at the women's side, the 2016 women's national champions of Gabrielle Nisueslu of Norwalk. Thank you. Yes, exactly. And a pro at the Millbrook Country Club in Greenwich, and her partner, Martina Andrejokova of Stanford, a pro at Weber Country Club, will also be trying to repeat as national champions. They will be in action at this tournament as well. Again, for more information or live streaming of the Grand Prix tournament, you can go to www.platformtennis.org. Dave, this is a sport that is quickly gaining momentum and the popularity is just skyrocketing over the past few years. Very exciting to see such a prestigious and talented group of athletes competing in a tournament in our area.
It's very, very popular in Fairfield County. New Canaan's had the courts up at Waveney Park for years and played neighboring towns, and yeah, it's been played in-house and neighboring towns, but it's been growing for quite a while.
It is, and this is a great place to see the ATPA getting involved with, because it's like you said, New Canaan just one of the towns. Really, you have Fairfield, Darien, Greenwich, all these towns who are really spreading their awareness about it throughout not only the town but the entire county, and the competition level just amongst these country clubs who play in the interclub matches is at an all-time high. So great to see some of the nation's best coming out to Fairfield. Again, that's October 8th and 9th. You can go to www.platformtennis.org for more information. Dave, yesterday afternoon, the Cheshire Academy wide receiver and the Hamden native Tariq Black was officially welcomed to play in the U.S. Army All-American Bowl. Black, who was one of the most highly sought-after recruits in the nation, met with representatives from the Army All-American Bowl game who made a presentation to Tariq during a ceremony at Cheshire Academy yesterday. Alabama, Michigan, Michigan State, Stanford, and Notre Dame are just a few of the schools looking for a commitment from Tariq, but for now he's happy just making his parents proud. Black said, "I can't thank my parents enough. They've done a lot for me, and I won't ever be able to pay them back." The U.S. Army All-American game will be played on January 7th in San Antonio. Black says he will make his college announcement at that game. Black was also is a member of the Football University program here in Connecticut. He was featured on the HAN Network's coverage of the Grip It and Rip It 7-on-7 passing tournament back in July at New Canaan High. That can be seen on demand at HAN.network if you're interested. He is one of the best receivers out of this 2017 graduating class. Very cool that he's coming from Connecticut. He'll be one of the first Connecticut players to play in the Army All-American Bowl. There's not enough we can say about his ability as a football player, though.
And for him to be able to play in that game and be selected for that game, I mean, you're not talking about the best in Connecticut. You're talking about some of the best players across the country there. And the schools that you were listing there that are after him, I mean, it's a who's who of the best teams in the country. And there's a lot of people interested in him, and he's got a pretty bright future.
We got to meet with both Tariq himself and Joe Buffard of Football University back in July. And when we talked with Mr. Buffard, he just went on about Tariq's work ethic. And his talent aside, he is fully dedicated to the game, is all in and trying to make it to the next level, and it's clearly paid off for Tariq.
Yeah, and that's where it starts. You see the stuff, we see all the time the stuff that goes on the field, but unless you're a coach or you're working with the person, you don't necessarily see all that stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and that's what it takes to get to the next level and to possibly go pro at some point. But to get to that next level, to be able to play in college, take that next step, you need to have that work ethic in there. You don't get by on just ability alone.
And the quote about his parents and putting that into perspective really tells you the kind of kid that Tariq is. Off the field, he's as great a player as he is, and what a player he is. We got to watch him in that tournament, and it's so smooth the way he goes about running routes. It's effortless catching the football, and he's just such a physical specimen too as an athlete that he's always at an advantage against smaller D-backs who are trying to cover him.
Yeah, you can tell when he's out there just standing there. You can tell he's kind of a man among boys, so to speak. But it's great for him to be going to this game, and that's definitely is a showcase of the country's best.
We want to offer our congratulations again to Tariq, and we look forward to, we're going to be speaking with Joe Buffard of Football University again sometime soon in the future about some of the other players in Connecticut who are being recruited by these big schools and what else their program has got going on. FBU just does such a great job helping these kids develop not only as players but young men and continue their careers at the next level.
There's a lot more being looked at too from Connecticut, which is interesting, but a lot of those D1 programs.
Switching gears now, we go over to baseball. And Dave, you had a story about a New Canaan local who's back up in the bigs and looks to be finding his stride again.
Well, let's hope. Kurt Casale from New Canaan has had a rough year with the Tampa Bay Rays, only hitting 175 overall. Last night, though, we faced Chris Sale, arguably one of the best pitchers in the game. Had a double and a home run in his first two at-bats, scored a couple of runs. Obviously it's late in the season to say, okay, guy's going to break out or anything, but if he could finish with a little bit of a flourish here that, as a catcher, he did enough last year, and he's hit with enough power this year that I think that he's got a good shot next year to stick with the team either as a starter or a backup. To be honest, if you look at Tampa Bay's catching situation, they really don't have anybody who really stands out as a hitter right now. So given that he's younger and the pitchers all seem to like throwing to him, I think he's got a good shot to be back with the team next year. And
that's really the big thing. You're at the end of the season now. Tampa Bay has been eliminated for quite some time, having a very tough year compared to the rest of the league. He's obviously not looking to break out, get hot before the postseason, but if he can end the year on a strong note, you said it best, Tampa Bay's catching situation is a huge question mark right now, so you'd like to see Curtis gain a little momentum towards the offseason, heading into spring ball when we get to that point, and maybe earn himself a spot as the 1 or 2 catcher for when the rosters shrink back down and they don't have the luxury of carrying 3 again for next season.
Yeah, and most teams don't have the luxury of having a great hitting catcher either. There's a few in the major leagues, but nobody who really, most teams are dealing with just having a guy who can, work well with the pitchers. Maybe not make a fool of himself at the plate, so to speak. So with a guy like Curtis hitting, who can hit for power, even if the average is a little bit lower, he should be somebody they'll be looking at in the future. And his second half in 2015 was so incredible, with 10 home runs, I believe, and 71 at bats. He's got to have a little bit of collateral built up from that, and hopefully we can, see how he does again next year.
It is, and on top of that as well, you look back at his rookie year where they called him up halfway through, and it wasn't as standout of a season as last year in 2015, but he still had a strong finish to the year that got him that consideration to be recalled again last year where he was able to prove himself. Mm-hmm. So we hope that Curtis is able to continue this group. I mean, Chris Sale, we said it off the air, he just really must love hitting against great pitchers because he's dominated fellow Commodore David Price for so long, and now Chris Sale, who is garnering a lot of consideration as the American League Cy Young winner.
Yeah, he does hit those good. When they're great pitchers, when you put the elite pitchers out there, Curtis is able to hit them. So maybe that just means there's not enough good pitchers in the league right now. I don't know, but it's good to see it. And it would be nice, also, just from a mindset, to be able to finish have a few good games, kind of put this behind you, and have a few good games at the end, going into the postseason or the off season on a high note, and with a little bit of positive energy there. That might help him. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a pretty level-headed guy, and I think he'll get past all this. But hey, 2 for 4 with a home run off Chris Sale is a big help.
Not too bad at all. We'll keep an eye on Curtis and wish him the best of luck over this final week of the regular season. Let's take a break here on Nutmeg Sports, but when Dave and I get back, we're going to take a look at some field hockey games from yesterday, including a great one between New Canaan and Staples, check in on some cross-country races from yesterday, as well as some girls' soccer games, right here on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
1, 2, 3, Abby! You know! I want to find out how good I am. Yes, sir! If you relax, you get blown out. Let's get it done! Let's get it done!
What can you take advantage of right now?
Again, come on! I can push myself way beyond what you think. Pressure technique. Bring it back.
Connecticut is coming back to hometown banking. To a partner that makes small businesses feel big. Where community comes first. Where high-tech tools go hand in hand with a human touch. Where you get the know-how only neighbors can deliver. Where saving time is important too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
At Mex on Main, Trumbull's very own Mexican grill, we're all about fresh, fast, and friendly service. Our Main Street restaurant offers the best in traditional and non-traditional Mexican dishes, with only the best ingredients, never frozen. From authentic burritos, fajitas, quesadillas, and salads, we have something on the menu for everyone in the family. And enjoy our open salsa bar, giving you more ways to customize your meal. Stop in for lunch or dinner at 6528 Main Street, Trumbull, or find out more at mexonmain.com.
When it comes to local entertainment, we've got it all.
From movies, local artists, etiquette, and more.
Watch HAN Arts and Leisure with me, Steve Coulter, and our Arts and Leisure editor, Sally Sanders, Mondays at 12:30, right here on the HAN Network.
Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. Frank Granito and Dave Stewart in the studio on this Wednesday afternoon. We had a very exciting matchup in field hockey yesterday. The defending Class M state champion New Canaan Rams taking on the Staples Wreckers, who are undefeated to this point on the year. Dave, you were at the game. Staples coming out on top 2-1, but it was not without a little controversy at the end there.
There was a lot going on there yesterday. First of all, New Canaan became the first team to actually score a goal against Staples this year. 8 games, they've outscored their opponents 52-1, which is really incredible. Whoever you're playing, really out there. But Megan Mitchell, sophomore from New Canaan, who's got a wicked shot, took a penalty corner. Just fired it through traffic, back of the net. New Canaan had a 1-0 lead, so it was also Staples' first deficit of the year. Christine Taylor for Staples scores late in the first half, and with about 8:57 remaining in the game, Staples gets the win with that. But The controversy was really at the end where Staples is called for a penalty in the circle, so New Canaan had a penalty corner. Of course, the field hockey rules are that if time expires during a penalty corner, you play it out. It either is going to be a goal, another penalty corner, or you clear the circle and the game ends. In this case, there was another whistle as the ball was bouncing around in traffic, and one ref signaled for another penalty corner. New Canaan was lining up for it, and then all of a sudden the refs are walking off the field, and they basically waved it off, saying the penalty took place outside the circle, which if it did, it was a very close call. And I always think in those cases you need to, if it's not clear or blatant, you need to stick with the call. And so New Canaan didn't get that last shot. Not that they would have scored, but they deserved that other opportunity.
It's been a little bit of an interesting field hockey season up to date in the FCIAC. Obviously, Staples now 8-0. They lead the pack. Darien just a game behind in the standings because they played one less. They're also undefeated. Two of the Norwalk schools have been the biggest surprises of the year. We'll talk about McMahon and their volleyball team in a little bit and how great they've been. But Norwalk field hockey's only loss was against Greenwich in overtime last week. They've been unbelievable. Wilton undefeated. What's the read on the defending Class M state champs, New Canaan? Because they're struggling a little bit now, 3-4 on the year.
They struggled a little bit. They're 3-3. They lost the last three to three good teams: Norwalk, Darien, and Staples. Now, I get the feeling from them. They're going through a lot of changes right now because they have Alyssa Havens is the new coach, and with Aaron Gilday having stepped down just before the start of the season, and they have a new goalie back there, Emily Gaida, who's a sophomore. Almost an entirely new defense with the exception of Grace Manges, who's a 3-year starter there. The general feeling I get is they weren't happy with the way they played against Norwalk last week when they lost 5-3. They were happy with their second half against Darien, game we carried on HAN, and it was just that they really dominated the possession time in the final 15 to 20 minutes there. And then they played well against Staples. I mean, that was a back-and-forth game that really could have gone anybody's way. And the other thing was in that game, we talked about this off the air, but Ellery Barron, who is New Canaan's top scorer, she got hit in the face with a follow-through of a Staples shot and had to come out of the game. She was bleeding a little bit on her chin. That was with 25 minutes left. She never came back, and that's definitely hurts New Canaan's chances. But overall, I feel like right now that they're happy with the way they played the last two games. They're 3-3. I don't think there's any reason to panic right now about them, and I think they'll be there at the end.
And you look at their last two games, they've played the leaders in both the West and East Division. Again, that first half against Darien, it looked like a young team that was still trying to find their identity. Much better in the second half. They played really well against Staples yesterday. It's a tough loss, but credit the Wreckers who've been playing really well. The Rams currently sit in 8th place in the conference, so they're still in the playoff mix, and we expect them to finish there, but a little uncharacteristic right now at the start.
Yeah. But the thing is with that 3-3 record too, they have three of the better teams out of the way. They'll be playing teams that they will go in on paper. They'll be favorites. They don't play the games on paper, obviously, so they've got to go out and get the job done. But they're in pretty good shape right now.
We also have some cross-country results from races yesterday throughout the conference. And let's start at Staples High, where the Wreckers, Greenwich Cardinals, and Ludlow Falcons all hit the course for the girls' 4,000 and boys' 5,000 meter races. In the girls' event, the Staples came out on top with a record of 2-0, defeating both teams. Greenwich split against the Wreckers and the Falcons, and Ludlow losing both of their matches. For the boys, Staples again defeating both teams. Ludlow splits in this one, and Greenwich falling to 0-2 on the day. At Allen's Meadow in Wilton, the Warriors, Darien Blue Wave, and West Hill Viking raced in that one. For the boys' side of things, it was Darien 2-0, Wilton 1-1, and West Hill going 0-2. For the girls, it was just the Darien and Blue Wave and Wilton Warriors, and Wilton on top in that one by a score of 16-45. 4 schools descended on New Canaan's Waveney Park, and the winners from those races, starting with the girls, Ridgefield going 3-0. They remained undefeated on the season. Trumbull 2-1, Danbury 1-2, and New Canaan 0-3. On the boys' side of the track, it was Danbury 3-0, Trumbull 2-1, Ridgefield 1-2, and New Canaan 0-3. Dave, as we look at cross-country standings up to this point in the season, there really haven't been too many surprises. It's the teams we expect to see there, and they're winning the races they're supposed to win.
Yeah, and right now it's just it's like you said, it's the teams that are, the teams you expect to be there. I feel like the cross-country season kind of just moves along. With the dual meets are great, but a lot of these teams that are really serious about competing for championships and top spots in their leagues are more concerned with how they're doing at invitationals, Wickham Park, Brewster, even the Wilton Invitational a few weeks ago. So we'll see how we'll see how those go. Those are the meets where they really test themselves, and that FCX championship comes up really quickly. I mean, we're only a couple of weeks away now, and we'll be there on Wednesday afternoon, Waveney Park, and it should be a good day. There's a lot of great runners going right now.
And these were the updated standings for before the start of this week. As we see, Trumbull suffered their first loss yesterday against Danbury, who remains undefeated, or against Danbury, who moves ahead. New Canaan really took a hit yesterday against three very talented teams. They had been doing well on the year, but not quite ready to match up against the West Division, it looks like, after that race.
Trumbull, Ridgefield, Danbury, those are tough teams, boys and girls, and they're perennial favorites. The Ridgefield girls in particular are very, very strong right now. And the Danbury boys are always up towards the top of the league. So
and we've got the Ridgefield girls on the screen there right now. They continue to be undefeated here. They're 9-0 now on the season, just running so well in the West Division. Looking at the East, Wilton continuing their success, beating Darien yesterday. And the New Canaan girls, another tough day. New Canaan going 0-for-6 on the day in races. That was a bit of a shocker to me.
It's the teams they're playing right there. They have next week. They're I believe they're at Greenwich Point next week, and they should pick up a couple of wins there. It's basically the matchup. Really is the matchup here, head to head. Big schools with great programs, just good tradition there, and those are tough calls for New Canaan, even running in their home park.
We'll keep you updated on cross country throughout the next 2 weeks as they get set for those FCX championships, which are scheduled for, I believe it's October 15th right now. Let's take one more break here on Nutmeg Sports. When Dave and I get back, we're going to take a look at what the Athlete of the Week nominees look like right now and their standings in the vote, as well as previewing our volleyball matchup here tonight on the HAN Network between Trumbull and Fairfield Ludlow.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Players have access to soccer, lacrosse, football, baseball and softball, field hockey, rugby, basketball, volleyball, and social game facilities. InSports has also launched an early childhood development program, a daycare and pre-K program all rolled into one. Don't miss out on the fun. Find out more at insportscenters.com or call 203-268-1214. Like and follow us on Facebook.
Washington Prime, now open on Main Street in Georgetown. Come enjoy our relaxed setting, excellent service, award-winning nightly happy hours, and feast on our creative new American cuisine. Connecticut Magazine's winner for Best Steak, Washington Prime of Georgetown.
The leaves are changing, water temps dropping, and the sun is setting a little earlier each day. But there's still a lot of great boating, fishing, and coast time left before we see the first snow. And above all, remember, it's always summer at the Dock Shop. With loads of new fishing tackle and accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor, the Dock Shop is just what you need when you start to feel that New England autumn chill. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan. And you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN Network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network. And we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. Frank Granito and Dave Stewart in the studio today as we take a look at our Athlete of the Week presented by Runner's Roost nominees and where the votes stand up to this point. Dave, let's start with the male athletes, and we can see right now that Anthony Oliveros of Stanford Soccer is currently in the lead. He's picked up 508 votes to this point in time. Not far behind, Johnny McElroy of Trumbull Football with 471. Jared Malazzi, 257 for St. Joe's. Michael Bavona, 63. All four young men had tremendous weeks on the field. The numbers they put up were incredible. I'm a little surprised by Bavona struggling a little bit. Obviously, though, Trinity, one of the smaller schools, and he's fighting the rest of Stanford against Oliveros, but he had quite the game on Saturday.
316 yards at Trinity Catholic playing against Norwalk. Big runs, too, like the touchdown runs where we were talking about 56, 28, 14 yards on those. And he did it on 15 carries. And, you know, it's not like he carried 30, 35 times or something like that. He's 15 carries, so he's averaging more than 20 per carry, 20 yards per carry. Incredible day, really.
I mean, all three of the football players producing at least 4 touchdowns. Oliveros, the lone soccer player, though, holding his own. If we look at the female Athlete of the Week nominees, in the lead right now, it's Allie Nielsen of Trumbull High Volleyball. Maggie O'Gorman from Greenwich Field Hockey, not too far behind, trailing by 140 votes. Nicole Vaccarella from Fairfield Wards Volleyball, and Meredith Pellegrino in there as well. Again, it was, you know, we have 3 out of 4 were volleyball players. But these were 4 other athletes who just, it was a great week for the FCAC, and really it was tough for us to just pick 8 athletes to put on this poll.
Yeah, and you know, all 4 of them, just incredible weeks. You know, it's hard to differentiate one from the other. You know, in terms of what's bigger. Greenwich for Maggie O'Gorman having a big win over Norwalk. That was huge for them because Greenwich has been struggling. I believe they're under 500 right now. Pellegrino for Brian McMahon. Obviously, they beat Darien volleyball, and you know that's even though Darien's record is I believe 3-2 right now, or 4-2. They you know 2 losses for Darien early in the season is unusual, but you know that's a huge win for Brian McMahon.
We'll get to see Allie Nielsen in action today. The HAN Network this evening at 5:30 will be covering Trumbull's volleyball team against the defending FCAC champion Fairfield Ludlow Falcons. Trumbull off to a pretty good start. They're 5-2 overall, Dave, 3-2 in the conference. Ludlow is really struggling right now, just having a very tough go at it, 0-6, 0-5 in the FCAC to date.
And everybody they play is seeing them not as an 0-6 team, they're seeing them as the defending FCAC champions. And I think that's part of the issue is that you're kind of everybody's World Series, so to speak, when you're going in there. Yeah, they are definitely struggling. 0-6 is, you know, it's tough to come back from that to even qualify for the States. Not that they can't do that. There's enough teams on their schedule that they can beat. The schedule so far for them has been just absolutely brutal. I mean, you've got Stanford in there, you've got McMahon, Ridgefield, and Darien were among the teams they played, and the teams, their opponents had a combined record coming into this week of 20-6. So, you know, you're not playing cupcakes out there. You know, you're playing very good teams.
No, and it doesn't get much easier today with Trumbull coming to town, who's been so strong in the year, led by Allie Nielsen, who's been great for them. What does Ludlow need to do today if they're going to have a chance to knock off the Eagles?
I think they just have to, you know, they just have to stay within themselves and play steady volleyball. You know, whenever you're struggling, it's always, with volleyball, it's always momentum. If you can keep the momentum, you can get the consistency going, that'll help. It's tough when you're losing and you're almost waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I'm sure that's what's happening for Ludlow right now, is that if they get a lead on somebody and then they give up a couple of points in a row, it's got to be hard to recover from that, because it's start to think, okay, here it comes again. So for Ludlow, given the teams they've played and where they were last year, it's just a matter of kind of staying the course and, keep trying to move in the right direction.
It is. We got to see Ludlow early on this year when they played against Staples, and that first game of their match, they were up 11-1, and it looked as though, okay, tough first game of the year. They figured it out now. They're ready to roll. And it was Staples who just came back, took the next 3 sets, and I felt since then, especially that third set, losing 25-4, Ludlow was really never themselves again and have been struggling to get on the right track.
Yeah, and as we were saying, the schedule hasn't been kind to them in terms of allowing them that 1 or 2 games that they might need to kind of figure it out. I feel like if they played a team that they were heavily favored against and they got to go out and work on some things, get that feeling of winning again under their belt, they might correct everything. But it's tough to do when you're playing these teams day in and day out.
Hopefully the Falcons will be able to bounce back tonight. We look forward again. That game will be at 5:30. Dave, this is the last time we're going to see you this week before the weekend's action. I don't know if you saw, but it's supposed to rain this weekend when New Canaan travels to West Hill for football.
Yeah, that should be very interesting. Of course, last year we had the New Canaan West Hill game on a Friday night, scheduled for Friday night, and they New Canaan rescheduled it for Monday night. And the big reason was the forecast. It was forecast for heavy rains and winds, which it did rain. Didn't go over too well with head coach Frank Marcuccio and the West Hill Vikings, who claimed that they had practiced preparing for rain all week, and that erroneously said that New Canaan did not play well in the rain, which that hasn't been true over the years. But anyway, so there was a little bit of controversy. They even appealed to the league on that, and basically the game, by FCAC rules, the game really should have been rescheduled for that Saturday. It wasn't. You play the game and you're done with it. But there's rain in the forecast for Saturday, which adds a little bit of spice to this game, which on paper doesn't look like a great matchup.
No, it should be a lot of fun, though. I spoke with one coach in the conference who described what he figures to be a rock fight on Saturday with the way tensions have boiled over. Dave, thanks for being on here today. Don't forget, we've got volleyball live at 5:30 here on the HAN Network. Tomorrow, as always, coffee break at 11 with Kate Czaplinski, Yankee Fisherman at 1 with John Kovac, and Nutmeg Sports with myself and Kevin Coleman at 2 o'clock right here on the HAN Network.